All right, guys, we should get to work. So today we're going to do a lot of cosines. 9.3. See if this pen works. Maybe. Yeah, I should switch this out. Okay. All right, so here's the general formula. See if this pen works. Well, first of all, to be consistent with how I drew my triangle last time, let me check. I believe we put B on top, correct? With capital B out here, capital C, and A. Is that right?
I think I had C on top, but I'm not sure if I was.
Yeah,
C on top.
C on top, B on the left, A on the right.
Okay, I want to make sure it's the same. So C is on top and what's on the right?
A.
All right. A, B, C. It doesn't matter, but I just to be consistent with our notes, I'm going to keep it the same. Okay. So remember, this is for the case 3 and case 4 triangles. So little a is equal to the square root of b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine a. Little b is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared, sorry, c, not already, b is over planning. Okay. Minus 2ac cosine b. Little c is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c. All right. Now I'm going to create some formulas and make this a little easier for you. I'm going to solve for a, the angle, capital A. That way you don't have to deal with it, and you can just use my formula to make this a little easier on yourself. So the formula for capital A will be, for the angle, it's going to be cosine inverse of all this stuff. Okay. B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. Capital B, cosine inverse of C squared plus A squared minus B squared over 2AC. Capital C is equal to cosine inverse a squared plus b squared minus c squared over 2ab. All right, so when you're solving for triangles that are case 3 and 4, you use one of these formulas, depending what you need. Although keep in mind that when I'm solving for side A, I'm going to need to have all the other sides and an angle, capital A, okay? And if you're missing this type of stuff, you may need to find an angle, but remember, if you're looking for an angle, you need to have all three sides for cosine, a law of cosines to work. So any angle requires three sides. Of course, if you're missing something, one of those pieces, you'd probably end up in case 1 and case 3, which is back to the law of sines. So either way, you'll be okay. So if you have nothing but sides, you're going to use this guy to find your angles. Okay? If you only have one angle and no opposite sides, then you use this guy to find the opposite side. And once you have it, you could technically use it to find, you can go back to the law of sines if you wanted to, because you'll have an opposite. I'm not saying you should, but you can. It's your choice. Okay. That's pretty much all we need for this section. Let's start doing some examples. Find one. Okay. One moment, please. Okay, sorry. Example 1. So solve the triangle is usually the instructions. Side A is equal to 2. Side B is equal to 3. Capital C is 60 degrees. Do you see why we can't use law of sines?
Need at least one angle for our signs.
Yeah, we have an angle, but we don't have the,
Oh, whoops.
Sorry, I put her in a weird spot there. There we
We
go.
don't have two of the same.
Yeah, we don't have a matched opposite side, right? So without that opposite side, we can't do anything with law of sines. So we will need to find little c using this formula here. Once we have that, you could go back to the law of sines if you want to. Okay, let's go for it. All right, so that will be square root of a squared plus b squared, so that'll be 2 squared plus 3 squared minus 2 times, I probably should have used lowercase here so it's not confusing. Okay. AB, the 2 times A times B. Okay, so far you guys still with me, right? You had all the matching pieces. So just punch this in or do a piece at a time, either way. Make sure you're in degrees because they gave us degrees. Let me find my calculator. Okay. Second square root. So that's 4 plus 9 minus 2 times 2 times 3 cosine 60. Am I in degrees? Yes. All right. Looks like, sorry, it's not even an angle. I'm solving for what? A side, right? 2 point, let's round to, let's see, in the book they rounded to, actually they kept it as a square root. Guess we could. Because technically this would be what? Square root of 4 plus 9. So that would be 4 plus 9, 13, right? Minus 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. 12 times cosine 60, which is a half. So that would be 12 times a half. So yeah, square root 7. Usually in the homework you're gonna round, but if you keep it as an exact, we don't have to worry about potential rounding error, which is I think why they did this. But it's fine. Okay, so we got capital, here to find capital A, capital B. All right. So now that we have all three sides, you could use the law of cosines to find angle A and B here, right? So let's go ahead and do it just for the practice, even though we could go back to law of sines now that we have an opposite side. So A will be cosine inverse of B squared, so 3 squared plus C squared minus A squared. 2 times B times C. Okay. Make sure I wrote that right. B squared plus C squared minus A squared 2BC. Yeah. All right. So that's all going to be inside the cosine inverse. So that's going to be a fraction in there of 9 plus 7 is what, 16, right? Minus 4 over 6 times square root 7. And so the first one is 40 in this round to 1 decimal place, 40.9. So that is approximately 40.9 degrees. 40.9. All right. Now, I could do the same and find the other one, or we could use the fact that the sum of all angles is equal to 180, right? So B should equal 180 minus 60 minus 40.9. That is approximately 79.1, right? Since we were given two sides, there shouldn't be two triangles. So usually in the law of cosine section, I don't believe that you should have any weird scenarios like two triangles, etc. Anyway, any questions on number 1 so far?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, not too bad then.
No, it's not bad. So would our final answer be 79.1?
The final answer would be all the pieces that were missing. So, right, we filled in the A, B angles and the C side. Those are the answers. Right here.
Okay.
The rest
So for that
was
first one we did,
good.
C, square root 7, we
Mhm.
would get it wrong if we would leave it as square root of 2.65, right? It has to be square root of 7.
You could try 2.65 and just hope that there's no rounding error at the end of your calculations, because it's not
I think
wrong.
so.
You could plug it in here,
Mhm.
but there's a possibility you might be off by a little
So
bit.
that's it. Okay.
You could try putting in a bunch of extra decimal points just to be safe. If you don't use the exact answer, you could try doing like 2.6457. See how that goes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So using the law of cosines, to solve an SSS triangle. So nothing but sides. In other words, right? They're going to give us A to be 4, B to be 3, C is equal to 6. So we're going to have to use the angle formulas twice, minimum. Otherwise, we can't do anything.
Can that triangle be made?
Yeah. Let me see.
A hypotenuse of 6?
Well, it's not a right triangle.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. So once we get to the law of sines, they no longer guarantee a right triangle.
And SSS triangle is the one that we drew first, right?
So they're all going to be. So the one we drew is just a general triangle. So
Okay.
SSS means that you're missing ABC.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
I mean, you have ABC only, and you do not have the angles. Sorry. So on this guy,
Okay.
we only have the outsides, no angles. All right. So I guess let's start with using the one for A. So A would be equal to cosine inverse of 3 squared plus 4 squared minus, oops, sorry, we have F that up already. Should be 6. Two BCs on the bottom. So let's find out what A is. Okay, so I'm using this first one here.
Oh,
Right, because it's going to be B squared plus C squared. So there's B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. All right, so let's find out what that is.
I got 36.3.
6.3. I think you might be right. Yeah, that sounds right. Let's see. Yeah, 36.3. That's right.
So are we gonna do it like the last one with the 180, but we don't have an angle, so.
Yeah, so we have to find at least 2 before we can do that.
Oh, okay.
So once we find B, we could do it.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter which one you find. You could find C first and then use the 180 idea to find B. Either way. It's really... Oops, I was almost there. Okay. So that would be cosine inverse of 6 squared plus 4 squared minus 3 squared over 2 times 4 times. There we go. Okay.
26.4, right? Okay.
26
Oh.
point what?
26.4
Yeah, that's
is
right.
what.
Pretty sure you're right. Let's double check. 6 squared plus 4 squared minus. Oh man, I forgot the division. Now I need an extra set of parentheses because I forgot it. Over 2 times 4 times 6. Yeah, that is 6.4. So now that we have 2, we can find the last one. So C will be equal to 180 minus 36.3 minus 26.4 is approximately
117.4.
yeah, that's right. Okay. Let me see if there's anything weird in the homework that we should cover, because I think that's really the only 2 scenarios you're going to have. Have you guys started the homework yet? Or are you finished law of sines? Let's see where it's at.
Finished law of signs yesterday.
That's good. Okay. Let me double check.